you're now telling a story with your first book, Invertiverse. Please tell me a little bit more about it. I've read the first, you sent me the first few chapters and I love it. I'm hooked. I'm in. I'm
great.
ready.
Great.
So yeah, can you give me a little synopsis and kind of tell me where the idea came from?
Yeah. But yeah, the full synopsis, and I'm just gonna read it. Dangerous creatures, peculiar disappearances, mysterious urban ruins. It was easy for David Andrews to be entranced by Juniper Valley's legends, but when his obsession causes the death of his closest companion, David's entire life becomes derailed. Years later, an alarming incident leads him and an estranged friend into the depths of their town's chilling history. A startling discovery lies in wait that will force them on a frantic journey across the multiverse. Alternate worlds with vicious monsters and treacherous landscapes won't be their only challenges. They will have to overcome their own haunted past if they ever wish to return home. And there is also a chance that David can finally confess his true feelings to the same person he had lost. And that last bit right there, where it's like, oh, I hope that brings them in.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, what does that mean? But no, I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. And I'll just slightly give away, because you did read the prologue, especially the inciting incident, which or a inciting incident. I wouldn't call it the inciting incident of my story, but it is a inciting incident that does become referenced and is important later on. But it's very much a Stephen King inspired opening, Children in Peril. So it's like Spielberg and Stephen King kind of opening chapter, Child in Peril. Because I feel like if a child is in peril, that means anyone is game. But as for the inspiration for this story, it had been in my head for many, many years. I remember I did a really weird version of the story in high school that was centered around like the Bermuda Triangle, where the Bermuda Triangle was like a portal to another world, basically, and they get sucked into like a whirlpool, essentially. There's definitely concepts in here that are 20 years old, which is really nuts. But no, I've been working on this book specifically for about a decade, which is also kind of crazy, because I was trying to juggle like real life work and stuff like that as I'm trying to write it. And it just wasn't clicking properly until, again, when the pandemic happened and I suddenly had more time to devote just to the book. And that's where I think it really found its footing finally. At the same time, and I don't recommend this, but I was actually having illustrations created while I was writing the book. Even before I had a first draft done, I had like outlines done, but there was no actual draft, and I was already getting artwork made for it from various people. But another unique thing I did, because I've always loved orchestral film scores, and I feel like I've always been a struggling composer in my head. I tried to learn music when I went to college briefly, and it was like an introduction to music class. But on the first day, they already assumed you knew how to write notations. And I'm I don't know how to do that. So I had to drop it. It was really upsetting because I really wanted to learn. So, I always had themes in my head ever since high school again. I always had music themes in my head. I would hum as I walked home from school and everything. But then when I was coming up with this story, I just had this weird idea, like, what if the book had its own soundtrack? And I found various people who could play music by ear. So I would hum out every track and they would replicate it based on my humming. And it's kind of a thematic score, like different characters have different themes and different ideas, and they kind of play off each other at times. So yeah, I just really wanted the story to be almost as much as a movie without actually seeing one. And that's why I wanted all this concept art for it. And the art is in the book, except for the ebook versions. I actually tried putting artwork for the ebook digital versions. But the thing with ebooks is they're formatted in a way where if certain devices, things won't look right. And I tested it out and it just looked really bad. So I was like, you know what? I would rather just not have art in the ebook version, because it just ruined it, especially because there's a lot of like fake logos in the story. And actually for Jurassic Park fans, John Bell actually did a piece of artwork for Invertiverse. There's a vehicle. Yeah, because John Bell, for those who don't know or remember, he was the art director of Jurassic Park, and he did various concept art illustrations including for the vehicle designs. Like he designed the look of the Ford Explorer and the Jeeps, and
amazing.
for the Lost World as well. He did all those vehicle designs. So he's a car aficionado, so it makes sense. And for Invertiverse, I asked him to design a fictional vehicle for me called the Rocket Lodge, which is basically a souped up mobile home. And I wanted it to be very futuristic looking and just like really impressive and have like a vibrant design. It's great. He did such a great work designing it. It's incredible.
You mentioned about Stephen King and Steven Spielberg, and it has that element to it very much. I think you've really captured a sense of place. You know, it's a landscape that I don't know at all, and the shadows and the creature and all of it was just really great. And again, what I talked about earlier about kind of writing kids as well, it's really difficult to get their point of view, and I think you did that. You've done that really well.
No, thank you. I mean, that's really good to know, because I mean, you writing for kids, and I think writing for females, I was worried because later on in the story there is a female POV or perspective, and I'm a male, and I'm like, I don't want to write for a woman in a way that doesn't feel genuine. You know what I mean? And it's hard for me to do that. You know, it's like, I don't know. Thankfully, the few people that have read the whole story, the female character, they actually like the best. Like it's their favorite character usually by the end of the story, especially. So I'm like, nice. Oh, thank God. You know, it's like I'm more relieved than happy in a way that I seemingly made it work. And I loved writing for her. So I think maybe that's what showed, because I gave her a fun personality, I guess you could say. But she gets the best dialogue. You know, I always gave her like the best dialogue every time. Yeah, like influences for writing, definitely Stephen King, but also obviously Michael Crichton. I'm sure you can feel the Crichton, inspirations oozing already in the text. But I will say there are a lot of dinosaur references later on, or just a few Jurassic references still to come. And I'll just spoil this because you do see artwork when I begin advertising the story. There's a thing that I call pygmy pets, which are these small versions of pets for people to have of bigger animals. For example, people have like dog-sized versions of giraffes, rhinos, bears, and, they never grow past a certain size, which was definitely inspired by an idea from Crichton's book that somehow never got used in any of the movies. No. I don't think it's going to be in Rebirth either. So I'm like, oh, how did they not tap into this? In the story, they do go in and out of different universes. I wanted it to be this really kind of fun, frantic adventure while still having an emotional core that I think people could relate to. And that definitely comes in the form of the protagonist, David Andrews. It's supposed to be like an emotional journey for the characters, and they go through growth. Because the thing is, a lot of multiverse stories with like Marvel right now. And I even try to make this be a point in like the product page for selling the book, where it's like, this isn't like a comic book superhero movie. These are ordinary people with relatable stuff going on in their lives that are thrown into this, fish out of water style adventure. Like, they're not scientists. They're just like us, basically, maybe some nerdier than others, but that's about it.
But I think from what I've read so far, you've got some amazing setups to a story and some really great characters as well. And characters, are, the be all and end all of all stories. So when is it released?
It is coming out June 3rd. Which is, just in time for Jurassic June, right? There's some dinosaur elements in the story, so it fits. I'll probably, by the time this episode comes out, I'll probably already be promoting it for pre-orders, so you might be able to pre-order it now, which you could do so at derrickdavismedia.com. There'll be various links for you to go to, because they'll be available at most places books are sold, including Amazon. And also it could be ordered through local bookstores and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of ways you can get multiple versions of this book. It'll be available in hardcover and also paperback. And of course, the ebook I mentioned, but again, the ebook does not have pictures. So
how else can people find you?
Yeah, and the easiest way is derrickdavismedia.com. And there are there's ways to contact me. There's also like a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky as well. Like they're all on there. So you can reach me in those ways. Also, you can reach me through Jurassic Time, the jurassictime.trustcom.org. There's various social media platforms there as well. And also I sometimes do articles for a little website called Jurassic Outpost. So, and I'm sometimes on their podcast as well. So you can find me there. So I'm kind of all over the place right now. So if I feel like mentally I'm all over the place, that's probably why.
I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure of mine. As being a fan of everything that you've done with Jurassic Time, I don't know how many times I've actually listened to John Hammond's memoirs. It has aided me going to sleep many times and lulled me on train journeys. It is a joy to listen to, and the Rick Carter Jurassic Park audio drama is amazing as well.
Thank you for having me. This was great. I hope you get a nice big following from people listening, because I think you're really great at hosting these, and I'm not just saying that. It's like it's hard to do. It is hard to really find a way to capture a person in a conversation like this, and I think you did a great job. So thank you for having me, for sure.
Thank you to Derrick again for that conversation, and I really hope you enjoyed everything that we talked about. In the show notes for this episode, you'll find all of Derrick's links, so please go and check out his website and Invertiverse, which actually, since our conversation, I have finished, and I'm a huge fan. I really enjoyed it. It perfectly blends the Amblin sensibilities with Stephen King. There's even, I think, connections to films like Labyrinth and Neverending Story. So yeah, please go and check out all of that. But for now, I'll just say thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.